What if your future isn't something waiting for you, but something waiting on you? Not a destination down a straight line, but a selection from a shelf of realities already formed, already pulsing with potential. And what if the only thing standing between you and the version of your life you ache for is the ability to see it, feel it, and choose it before it arrives? Most people walk through life reacting to reflections. Like dancers facing a mirror, they confuse the image for the origin. They beg the world to change, not realizing the world is only doing what it has been programmed to do: reflect. They scan the horizon for signs, for shifts, for miracles, never realizing that the projector sits quietly within their own mind, waiting for a new film to play. The paradox: you've always held the power, but power without understanding breeds frustration. What you're about to explore is not philosophy, it's not spiritual fluff, it's a precise mental technology, a way to pierce through the veil of linear time, step into the hidden dimension where futures already exist, and consciously select the one you wish to bring into form. But understanding it isn't enough. You must learn to be it. You've always suspected there's more to life than meets the eye, and you're right. The world you see, the time you feel, the limitations you've been taught to accept are only the surface. Behind every moment you call now is a deeper architecture, a structure of consciousness so vast and intricate that it holds every version of your life, not just the one you're living. The question isn't whether this hidden dimension exists. The question is whether you're willing to access it. What you call the future is not something far ahead, waiting to be built. It is something already formed, already breathing in the invisible. Just as a radio holds thousands of stations but only plays the one you tune into, reality holds countless futures, but only one becomes visible through the frequency of your current state of being. Time, as you've learned it, is a fiction of perspective. In the hidden dimension, there is no before or after. All is now. All is available. Yet most live in a loop. They move forward looking backward, chained to what was. They believe cause creates effect in a single direction, unaware that their consciousness is already influencing what they call tomorrow. They confuse motion with progress, never realizing they are walking through a mirrored maze of their own assumptions. If the reflection doesn't change, they grow bitter, but mirrors don't change first, the source does. To access the hidden dimension that shapes your future, you must stop trying to fix the outer and start tending to the inner. You must begin where creation truly begins, in awareness. The fourth dimension is not a place, it is a level of consciousness. And consciousness does not respond to effort, it responds to identity. When you assume a new state of being, not as wishful thinking, but as felt truth, you shift timelines. You select from the shelf of possible realities and bring one into form, not through force, but through frequency. This is not mysticism dressed as motivation. It is the real structure of how reality unfolds. You live inside a universe that does not reward what you want. It mirrors what you are. And what you are is nothing more than the sum total of your assumptions, beliefs, and dominant emotions. The hidden dimension is not hidden because it is far. It is hidden because it requires inner stillness and clarity to perceive. To access it is not to run away from the world, but to finally realize how it is built and how you've been building it all along. To see the hidden structure is one thing. To step into it, to move from knowing to becoming, requires crossing a line within yourself. There is a silent war occurring inside every human being, and it is not between good and evil. It is between two minds. One operates from memory, reaction, and limitation. The other draws from imagination, vision, and infinite possibility. One binds you to the visible. The other grants you access to the invisible dimension that shapes your future. These two minds are not fictional characters. They are the inner mechanisms of your awareness, each pulling you toward a different reality. The first, the surface mind, is what ancient texts called the natural man. It sees only what is in front of it and bases truth on evidence from the senses. It fears the unknown, doubts what it cannot prove, and obeys the laws of physical cause and effect. The second, often referred to as the spiritual mind, is rooted in conscious imagination. It doesn't wait for evidence, it produces it. It doesn't ask what's real, it decides what will become real. And it is through this second mind that access to the hidden dimension becomes possible. Imagine for a moment a castle with two towers. One is tall, fortified, built with stone and history. It houses the guards, skeptical, armored, endlessly patrolling. This is the natural mind. The other tower is quieter, more delicate, built of light and vision. Its staircases are invisible unless you trust the next step. This is the spiritual mind. You have lived most of your life in the stone tower, but the key to the future you long for, the one already formed in the higher realm, sits in the other tower. The challenge is not getting there. It is remembering that the door was never locked. Learning to shift between these two minds is the beginning of true dimensional navigation. When you think from the natural mind, you reinforce the world as it is. But when you dare to think from the spiritual mind, you begin to reshape the field beneath your feet. Accessing the hidden dimension is not about effort or struggle. It's about allegiance. Which mind will you serve? Because the mind you trust is the one that selects your future. Once you've recognized the split between the two minds, the path forward becomes clear. The mind you consistently inhabit determines the reality you consistently experience. But recognition alone is not enough. To access the hidden dimension that shapes your future, you must engage a very specific mechanism, one that lies dormant in most, not from lack of power, but from lack of conscious use. It is the mechanism of deliberate, imaginative embodiment. This mechanism is nothing new. Ancient mystics used it without naming it. Visionaries throughout history accessed it intuitively. And today, science edges closer to confirming what sages once knew in silence: that consciousness does not merely witness reality, it edits it. Just as a film editor cuts and rearranges scenes to shape the story, your imagination, when used deliberately, becomes the editor of time. The difference is that most people leave their reel uncut, allowing old assumptions to dictate the next frame. Modern society reveres action, hustle, and strategy. But in the fourth dimension, the laws shift. Movement on the physical plane is secondary. Movement in consciousness is primary. While the world trains you to change your life, the hidden dimension responds to what you become in stillness. Compare it to typing a document. Most rush to print before correcting the file, wondering why the page keeps coming out wrong. Accessing the hidden dimension means learning to revise the inner script first, then letting the printer, which is the external world, catch up. Here's how it works. You begin by selecting a specific desire, not vague hope, but a clearly defined outcome. Then, instead of imagining its arrival, you construct a short scene that implies it has already happened, not the moment of attainment, but a moment that naturally follows. For example, don't picture getting the phone call. You picture the conversation that happens weeks later, as if the event is already long past. This distinction is subtle but crucial. The fourth dimension does not respond to longing, it responds to embodiment. You then enter a state of stillness, preferably just before sleep, where the body is quiet and the surface mind begins to dissolve. In that twilight between waking and dreaming, you rehearse the scene not as a viewer, but as a participant. You see through your own eyes. You feel the textures, the sounds, the emotions, and most importantly, you repeat the scene until it feels saturated with reality. That feeling, that vivid, undeniable knowing, is the signal that reaches beyond the visible and rewrites the blueprint of your life. You've just made a selection in the hidden dimension, and though nothing may seem to change immediately, the mirror has received its new image. The shift has begun. When you plant the seed of a new reality in the hidden dimension, something begins to move, silently, invisibly, but with unwavering precision. The mechanism you activated does not rest, does not pause, and does not require your constant attention to function. It is governed by a deeper intelligence, what ancient texts called the law. This law is not moral. It does not reward the virtuous or punish the wicked. It simply reflects. It reflects with such faithfulness that even your doubts, fears, and unconscious assumptions become blueprints. It dutifully follows. This is why accessing the hidden dimension is not a one-time event. It's a way of being. Once you impress a new state upon the fabric of your consciousness, the law begins its work. Your environment rearranges, subtly at first, then unmistakably. People shift, opportunities arise, blocks dissolve. Not because the world suddenly favors you, but because it no longer has a choice. It must mirror the new state you've assumed. The law does not ask if you are worthy. It does not wait for approval. It only follows the command embedded in your state of being. This is where most abandon the process. They plant, then stare at the soil, doubting the seed. They ask, when will it show up? Forgetting that impatience itself is a state, and the law mirrors that too. To access the hidden dimension and successfully reshape the future, you must learn the rhythm of reality. First, the internal shift, then the external echo. It may not happen on your schedule, but it will happen with mathematical certainty, because consciousness precedes form. Every assumption you hold is a seed, every belief, a silent architect. You don't need to convince the universe of what you want. You need to become the version of yourself that already has it. The law cannot sleep because you cannot stop being. And whatever you are being now is what the mirror is reflecting next. So ask yourself, not once but constantly, what future am I feeding through my current state? Because the law is listening, and the hidden dimension is already responding. If the law reflects your state of being without pause, then each moment becomes a crossroads. You are never simply existing, you are selecting. Most don't realize this, because the selection is often unconscious. But the truth remains. Every thought you allow, every emotion you dwell in, every identity you wear is a vote cast in the hidden dimension. The future is not built in front of you like a road. It's chosen beneath you like a foundation. And the one you stand on now is shaping what rises next. The world trains you to chase change outside yourself. New jobs, new relationships, new strategies. But the real axis of transformation lies within. The future you long for isn't waiting to be earned. It's waiting to be embodied. You are not trying to become someone new. You are remembering who you already are in a higher realm. To access that version, you don't beg the mirror to change. You become the new image it cannot help but reflect. This is the choice that changes everything. Will you continue reacting to what your senses report, or will you begin responding from the place you've already chosen within? One perpetuates the old timeline, the other shifts you to a new one, and though both paths unfold in the same physical world, their outcomes are galaxies apart. The one who reacts stays bound to cause and effect. The one who responds from the unseen creates cause and commands effect. Accessing the hidden dimension is not about escape, it's about alignment. It's not about hoping for better, it's about being better now, regardless of appearances. Every challenge becomes a test of allegiance. Are you loyal to the world you see, or to the world you have selected in consciousness? One locks you in repetition, the other opens the gate to a future already alive in another layer of time, waiting for you to step in and claim it. You do not have to earn the right to shape your future. You were born doing it. But now, you know the mechanism. Now the illusion is pierced. The mirror doesn't just reflect what you see, it reflects who you are, and who you choose to be shapes the path ahead. The hidden dimension that shapes your future is not above you. It is not beyond you. It lives in the quietest space within your being, and access to it is not found in striving, but in remembering. So tonight, close your eyes, select your future, and walk into it as if it already were. Because in the fourth dimension, it already is.